How to multiply and divide by 10, 100 and 1000. So when we multiply or divide by 10, 100, 1000, we use a different method than we do. We don't do short multiplication, we don't need to do short division or long multiplication. There's actually a very quick method that we can use for this. So you try and remember this method for when you see a question which is multiplying by 10, 100 or 1000. So let's say, for example, you had the question 83 times 10. So I'm going to show you how to do that using a method where we don't have to do short multiplication. I've written out the place value for each column here, which you can do to start with, but once you get good at this you don't need to do that, but I'm just going to do it for the time being. And I'm going to write 83. I'm also going to put in the decimal point there, and remembering the decimal point always comes after the ones. So what we're going to do is, the first thing to notice is each time we move to the left one column, we're increasing value by 10 times. When we move to the right each time, we're decreasing the value by 10 times. So moving to the left is multiplying by 10 each time we move one square, and moving to the right we're dividing by 10 because we're decreasing by value. And I will show you here how that works. So we've got 83. We want to multiply this by 10. All you have to do is move the 8. I do an arrow and I put my 8 there. And my 3 moves once as well. I know this is a good idea to put in the decimal point. So we've got 8, 3, and then there's a gap here, and we put a 0 in the gap. So 83 times 10 is 830. Let's do another one. 0.2 times 10. Good idea. Line up the decimal point, and all we have to do is move the 2 here. So the answer is 2. Let's look at a slightly more challenging question. 0.07 times 100. So again, write 0.07, and because I'm multiplying by 100, I have to move the 7 twice, because every time I'm moving the 7, I'm multiplying by 10, and 10 times 10 is 100. 1, 2. So 0.07 times 100 is 7. Let's try this one. 0.708 times 1000. So this is more of a tricky question, but it's exactly the same method. So as long as you do it carefully, it's going to be the same. Right, so because we've got 1000, it's 3. 1, 2, 3. And everything else, because the 0 is next to the 7 and the 8 is next to the 0, just moves along. Put in the decimal point. So 0.708 times 1000 is 708. Something very important to notice here is that you see the 8 and the 3, they're next to each other. They stay next to each other. All you're doing is shifting the digit, or the digits. The 2, 7, and look, 708, still 708. It's just that the digit, instead of 0.7 times in by 1000, is now worth 700. So all we're doing is shifting the digits. The decimal point stays still. It doesn't move. The digits move, the decimal point stays completely still. Okay, so let's move on to look at dividing. So remember, multiplying was moving to the left, dividing is moving to the right. Let's look at 70 divided by 10. Nice, easy one to start. Put in our decimal point. Now you know what 70 divided by 10 is. You can do that in head. So I'll just show an example of how this works. So the 7 moves there. So that's why the answer is 7. Okay, let's have a look at 63 divided by 10. 63. Move it once to the right, so 6 goes there. Put in our decimal point, 6.3. Let's try 32.04 divided by 100. So, bit of a trickier one, but again, as long as we follow the method carefully, get the right answer. Put the decimal point below, line it up, very important. If the decimal point isn't lined up, it won't work. And we've got 100, so we're moving twice to the right. 1, 2, so my 3 goes here. Now all of these other digits all shuffle along too, so the answer is 0.3204. Watch how you've got those digits in a row, still got the same 4 digits in a row. We don't change the order of the digits, we don't put a digit inside these digits, they always stay together as they were. They're just moving, the digits are just moving to the right to divide, left to multiply. And finally, a question, let's have a look at 90 divided by 1,000. Before I do that, I'm just going to write these answers in. So, one thing that people get confused with this one is remembering. They think, oh, there's no decimal point. But remember, the decimal point always comes after the ones. So, put the decimal point in, put your decimal point below your decimal point. Look, this decimal point is lined up. It never moves. The only thing that moves are those digits. And then we're going to move the 9 3 times because we're dividing by 1,000. 1, 2, 3. Look how carefully I've done it. I've moved to the centre of the square, and then on my last arrow moves down, making sure I put the 9 here, not here, and then I fill my gap. The zeros, I could move this 0 and put it here, but I don't need that 0 there. So 90 divided by 1,000 is 0.09. Let's have a quick recap. I'll just write the answer in there. So, to divide or multiply by 10, 100,000, we do not need to do the normal method for column multiplication. We are going to do this method. We're going to be moving the digits to the left or to the right. To multiply, we move to the left. Each time we move one column, we are multiplying by 10. So 83 times 10 becomes 830. The 8 moves to here and the 3 moves with it. 0.2 times 10, line up the decimal point. 2. 0.07 times 100, put in the decimal point, move the 7 twice, so the answer is 7. 0.708 times 1,000, move the 7, 1, 2, 3, because it's 1,000, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, the 0 and the 8 move along, remembering to line up the decimal point, very important, so the answer is 708. 70 divided by 10, a nice easy one, 7 moves to there, so the answer is 7. 63 divided by 10, write the 63, put the decimal point, move the 6 there, the 3 moves along, so it becomes 6.3. 32.04 divided by 100, 1, 2, all these other digits move along, shuffle along, 0.3204, and finally 90 divided by 1,000, 90, 3 zeros, write 90, put the decimal point, 1, 2, 3, the 9 goes there, fill the gaps there with 0. Can write the 0 there, but we don't need it. Could get rid of that. That's how you multiply and divide by 10 at 100,000. Use this method. Be careful with what you do. Remember the decimal point. Put the decimal point in. It stays completely still. Move the digits carefully, and you will get the right answer.